Alright, so we're going from a character study film to a musical in the sequel. Let's see how this goes. Hey movie buffs, I'm Jack Benner, and welcome to my review of Joker Folie A Deux. Joker Folie A Deux is the newest DC sequel to 2019's Joker. Todd Phillips, who directed Joker, is back directing this film, and Joaquin Phoenix is returning as Arthur Fleck, and joining the cast is Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. Set 2 years after the events of the first, Arthur Fleck, once again played by Joaquin Phoenix, is on trial for his crimes while being in custody at Arkham Asylum. During Arkham, he stumbles upon true love, meeting Lee Quinzel, played by Lady Gaga, that brings him to find a music that's always been inside his true identity. Before I get into my review of Joker Folie A Deux, any new viewers coming across my channel for the first time, welcome to my channel. I am Jack Benner. I talk about movies on here. I do movie reviews. From time to time, I do some lists on here. So you like movie content? You like what you see so far? Definitely considering that like and subscribe button for more exciting movie content down the road. In 2019, it was a very bold move to have Todd Phillips, a director with a comedic background with the Hangover movies, to direct a Joker origin movie starring Joaquin Phoenix that would be separate from the DCEU. And that film would be a character study film taking inspiration from Scorsese films like Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. Despite it being a divisive film with a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes, you either love the film or just see it as an overrated wannabe of Scorsese movies. The film was a box office success, grossing $1 billion worldwide, making history as the first R-rated film to do it. Was the highest grossing R-rated film until Deadpool and Wolverine recently. It received 11 Oscar nominations, the most that year, up against Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 1917, and the Best Picture winner, Parasite. Winning 2 Oscars, 1 original score for Hildur Guðnadóttir's haunting and memorable theme, and Joaquin Phoenix won for Best Actor, which was rightfully deserved. He would become the second actor to win an Oscar for playing the Joker since Heath Ledger's iconic portrayal in The Dark Knight. 5 years later, my assessment on the film, I still absolutely love Joker. I never really had a problem with the Scorsese influences. I felt like Todd Phillips did incorporate them to craft an engaging character study film, anchored by Joaquin Phoenix's tragic, astonishing, and transformative performance, terrific musical score, and cinematography. And Todd Phillips did an amazing job surprising us, showing that he is more than just doing comedies. And it was one of my top 10 favorite films of 2019, and 2 comic book films in my top 10 favorite films of 2019, this and Avengers Endgame. After Joker, I would love to see other villain origin stories like that, but each one feels distinct from each other. And I hope DC or DC Elseworlds will continue that down the road. After making a killing at the box office and receiving numerous awards and accolades, I would have been highly satisfied if Joker was a standalone movie and I didn't really see much of a reason to continue the story. And then in 2022, Todd Phillips announced that he was making a sequel to Joker, and Joaquin Phoenix would be returning to the role of Arthur Fleck. Knowing that Joaquin Phoenix is a very choosy and selective actor with his roles, there was something intriguing in Joker 2 that made him want to return. And one announcement about this sequel that caught me off guard, and for everyone, Joker 2 would be a musical. Could this idea actually work or just be an unusual and jarring tonal shift from the predecessor? And one interesting announcement was that Lady Gaga was cast as Harley Quinn, and that interests me after seeing A Star is Born. That film not only proved her talents musically, but as an actress. Something I admire about Lady Gaga's acting since A Star is Born, that she is starting to be selective with her roles, choosing carefully of what role she wants to immerse herself into. And when the first trailer came out, I was actually warming up to this film being a musical, and this was my second most anticipated film for the rest of the year behind Nosferatu. My skepticism returned when I heard early mixed reviews from the Venice Film Festival and more early reviews, and hearing more and more reactions that were all over the place, my concerns grew increasingly. Regardless, I went into Joker Folie A Deux open-minded, gave it the benefit of the doubt. I saw Joker 2 opening night, processed my thoughts. I left this movie disappointed! Yes, it doesn't make me very happy to say this. Joker Folie A Deux is a massive disappointment, and I didn't like this movie very much. This movie was incoherent, tedious, uninspired, cluttered, and it's just a very frustrating movie. And it is easily my biggest disappointment of the year. Let's start this review with the pros. First thing I definitely want to give praise to, Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. They're both fantastic in this movie. Starting with Joaquin, Phoenix is still phenomenal as Arthur Fleck. And Joaquin Phoenix, fantastic as always. I would never see him phone in a performance or really felt like he was just doing it for a paycheck. Maintaining what excels about his performance from his gaunt appearance, laughter, emotions, and eyes. Especially in the first half in this movie when he doesn't say a single line. And just seeing his eyes, I was just like, Phoenix is just so damn good here. But I also like that this film gets to show new sides of Arthur Fleck, delving into more of his tragic side and psychologically. And also, Joaquin Phoenix does get to sing again, and he's still got great singing chops. Quick little recommendation, if you loved Joaquin Phoenix singing in this movie, definitely check out the music biopic Walk the Line from 2005. This is a fantastic music biopic from director James Mangold. Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon, fantastic in this movie as both Johnny Cash and June Carter. Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, she's great when she's there. Gaga is of course a talented singer, but does great as a crazy and manipulative woman falling heads over heels in love with Joker. I would say I do prefer Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, but I was liking the take of Gaga as Quinn even if I wanted more of her. And we got some great supporting performances from Brendan Gleeson as a guard at Arkham Asylum, Catherine Keener, and there's even one returning actor in the trial scene. That scene with that actor, that was one of the best scenes of the film, and his acting deserves more credit. For his direction, I do respect that Todd Phillips is trying to branch out as a director and taking big swings, doing a surprisingly good job directing the musical numbers in this movie. They're choreographed well, have great energy to them, and the production in this movie, top notch. Where the first movie had like a $50 million budget, Joker 2 has a bigger budget at $200 million. I can see where the budget was for this movie. Another highlight, the cinematography by Lauren Sher in this movie is stunning. There are so many beautiful shots in this movie, excellently capturing shots of the lavish cinematography and the musical numbers, as well as the grimy look of Gotham from the first movie. There are some shots in this movie I was like, yeah, I can see that being on the One Perfect Shot Twitter page. Hildur Gudnadottir's score is once again great and haunting, and there are some songs in this movie I did enjoy. There was one tap dancing musical number I got some enjoyment out of, and one scene with Harley Quinn and Joker where there's a fire, I enjoyed that one too. And there are some interesting ideas here for a brilliant story. This could have been a compelling psychological courtroom drama with some musical numbers here and there. I was thinking this could be like DC's version of Chicago, where it was both a crime film and a musical, and maybe the sequel could also expand on some themes from the first film and introduce new ones, such as mental illness, poverty, alienation. However, that's where the positives end, and now let's get into the negatives. By far, my biggest problem I have with Joker Folie A Deux, the narrative in this movie is so incoherent and cluttered, where I just thought to myself after I've seen this movie, what was it trying to be and what was the point of it? It tries to be 3 different movies in one and just couldn't balance all of them. It tries to be a courtroom drama, a musical, a romance, and it just goes all over the place where I'm like, what is this movie trying to be? Just choose one of those movies you want to be and stick with it. And the story honestly gets repetitive. Let's go to a trial scene. Let's go to a musical number. Let's go back to Arkham, then to the trial again, then to another musical number and another musical number. And this movie just gets bogged down by sloppy storytelling that's all over the place. And there are some scenes in this movie that just drag the runtime. Now let's get to something that many others were skeptical about. The musical numbers, I found them to be a mixed bag. During the first half of this movie, I was like, okay, we're getting to courtroom drama. I do think this is interesting so far. But then once Arthur starts singing, I was like, oh, this is where the musical comes in. If they do it a few times, maybe it wouldn't be too bad. But the more the musical numbers appear in this movie, it starts to get repetitive and kind of awkward. And watching Joker Folie A Deux, it reaffirmed why I was skeptical about this being a musical. And the songs in this movie just started to sound repetitive and forgettable, and they started to get tiring really quick. And another problem with the musical numbers, there's just too many of them. And not only that, they grind the story to a halt, and they honestly feel like filler and just shoehorned in to drag out the runtime even more. Felt like there could have been 2 or 3 songs that could have been cut from this movie for a more tighter runtime and possibly a more coherent story if the script was better. And just after one song ended, I was like, okay, that's enough with the musical numbers, let's continue with the story. And then another song, I was like, you're singing again? You just had a song 5 minutes ago, enough! And some of these musical numbers don't really progress the story along or really have that much of an impact on the story or characters. And this movie's pacing was definitely not as strong as the first. I swear, this movie could have been cut like 10 minutes. And with the themes in this movie, I felt like it didn't really have a lot to say that was meaningful. It didn't really dive into the themes as much as I was hoping for much of an impact, making it feel kind of surface level compared to the first movie. Oh, and speaking of scenes that could have been cut, let's talk about one scene in this movie. So during one court case, Arthur Fleck fires his lawyer and wants to defend the court as Joker. And then as he's Joker and as he's ranting on live TV, he calls the Arkham guards fat. And when he gets back to Arkham, the guards heard what he said on live TV and they beat the shit out of him. And if that wasn't enough, what was implied, what they do next to Arthur, I was like, WTF? Did you really have to go that far? Todd, what were you thinking? The first movie had a good approach showing how miserable Arthur Fleck was without beating you over the head. But here with that scene that was just like beating you over the head with it, it was like, this guy is miserable. It's like, okay, we get it, but you didn't have to go that far. You could have just cut that scene and just leave it as a torture scene and you really wouldn't change that much. Why was that scene even in there? Now, as great as Gaga was as Harley Quinn, there was another part of me that was underwhelmed by her performance. Not really acting, but character-wise. She felt a little underdeveloped and wasn't really used that much. Not really fleshing out her backstory enough for a more unique take on the character. Sure, Gaga shined performing, but as for character and writing-wise, I felt like there was a lot more to be desired with her. And the ending of the film, without spoiling anything, I didn't really like how it ended. Something happens that just feels tacked on and just didn't stick the landing. And in the background, I was like, are you implying that? No, I don't like this ending. Just, what? To sum up, whereas Joker 2019 felt like a game-changing comic book movie that didn't really feel like a typical one, Joker Folie A Deux is a crushing disappointment with an identity crisis. It is a boring, uninspired, cluttered, and incoherent letdown with a narrative that is completely all over the place and hit and miss musical numbers that felt distracting and awkward. I am very curious to hear your thoughts on this movie. If you're on my side or you found it to be a mixed bag, or if you liked and loved this movie, that's awesome. I really wish I was in that same boat as you. Trust me, I really wanted to love this movie. I went in this movie, I was like, maybe this will be good. I'll like it. I'm not going to let the reviews distract me too much. I'll go open-minded and enjoy this movie. But what you heard about this movie is indeed true. I'm curious to hear what you think of it, if you're fans of the first Joker like I am, and what you think about the sequel, or if you like musicals. Curious to hear what you think about this movie, and the trailers didn't really advertise it as a musical that much. There was barely any singing in the second trailer, and there was a lot more singing and musical numbers in the film, so if you're not a fan of musicals, I don't know if I recommend this movie to you, honestly. Or if you didn't like the first movie and the sequel doesn't look interesting to you, I don't see it winning you over. I had such high hopes for this movie, but the more I thought about this movie for the past few days, the more I feel frustrated by it. And unfortunately, I didn't really feel like this sequel justified its existence and confirmed, yeah, Joker should have been a standalone movie. And the funny thing is, again with Todd Phillips and sequels, I love the first Hangover movie and I love Joker, but I hated The Hangover Part 2 as that was a copy and paste sequel. And now with Joker Folie A Deux, I just didn't like it at all and I didn't see the point of it. I was originally going to give it a C+, but over time, yeah, it's a much lower grade now. And speaking of which, and now to grade it, I'm going to give Joker Folie A Deux 2 stars out of 5, a C+. Easily the most disappointed I felt in film in 2024. As much as I was disappointed in movies such as Kung Fu Panda 4, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, this one takes the cake for me. I was looking forward to it all year. I was excited, but then, didn't leave me satisfied. I don't think it's a must-see film you should go rush out and see. I'd say just wait for it to stream on Max or wait for it to come out on Blu-ray. And surprisingly, whereas Joker was a billion-dollar hit, this film is underperforming at the box office, grossing $40 million on its opening weekend, and this film has a $200 million budget. Ouch. Felt like that could be like 5 years have passed and maybe there really wasn't that much excitement for Joker, or the bad reviews didn't really help this movie. And after the DCU ended on such a terrible note with Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, the less said about that movie, the better, just that piece of crap. There is a still part of me that does have hope for DC and DC Elseworlds. I am so excited for James Gunn's Superman next year. That is very high on my most anticipated movies of next year. And 2 years later, the wait is killing me for the Batman Part 2. So I really hope those two movies are better and put DC on the right track. And as for comic book movies this year, I do think Deadpool and Wolverine was a much better film, as it was more coherent and a much more satisfactory movie than Joker Folie A Deux. And the biggest compliment I can give? At least it's better than Madame Web, that's for sure. Since the first film won 2 Oscars out of 11 nominations, Oscar chances for Joker Folie A Deux, honestly, I only see cinematography. I was like, I wouldn't mind if that gets nominated, but everything else, I don't see it happening. Picture, I don't think so. Todd Phillips directing, no. Joaquin Phoenix for lead actor. If the film wasn't so divisive, I would say maybe he could get in. Maybe a Golden Globe comedy nomination, but that's about it. And besides, he already won for the first movie, and there is some controversy surrounding him right now, exiting that Todd Haynes project that got people out of work, and he got cold feet from that movie, so I don't think Joaquin Phoenix is going to get an Oscar nomination again for the Joker. And Lady Gaga, I heard she's campaigning in supporting actress for this, and great as she was, I don't really want her up for an Oscar nomination, honestly. So yeah, I don't really have much high hopes that this movie will get a lot of awards love this season. And to the end of the review, I just want to say, today, I have just reached 500 subscribers on my YouTube channel.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Just wow. Thank you all so much. This really means a lot. I have been doing movie reviews on this channel now for 8 years, and just to get to here at 500 subscribers, thank you all just so much for this. I can't thank you enough. I am so grateful to each and every single one of you for subscribing and supporting the channel over the years. Whether you're a longtime viewer or just new, coming across the channel for the first time, thank you so much. Your support means the absolute world to me. You guys are the best. Thank you all so very, very much for this. So I would like to hear from you guys. What do you guys think of Joker Folie A Deux? If you've seen it, do you agree, disagree with my review? Or if you haven't seen it, are you interested in seeing the film or not? Let me know down below. Did you enjoy hearing my thoughts on this movie and want to see more reviews like this in the future? If yes, please hit that like and subscribe button if you're new here. And don't forget that notification bell for my next upload in the future. It really means a lot. All my social media links are in the description down below. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you would like to see my written reviews, I do have a Letterboxd account, so if you'd like to follow me on there as well. And until the next video, I'm Jack Benner, and look forward to another movie review.